For those unfamiliar, BRICS is an economic alliance made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Recently, they've been gaining headlines with their ambitious goal, de-dollarization. In simple terms, they want to reduce the world's reliance on the US dollar for international trade. With the dollar being the world's reserve currency, the US has held a powerful advantage, but now BRICS is challenging that. According to hints given by Russia, BRICS is about to announce its own currency in its 2024 summit. This currency could potentially be backed by gold, and it could play a crucial role in de-dollarization, a movement that seeks to reduce the world's reliance on the US dollar. But what does this mean for the global financial system? Let's break it down. For those unfamiliar, the US dollar has been the world's dominant currency for decades, and it holds this status as the world's reserve currency. This gives the US enormous advantages. It can print as much money as it needs, borrow at cheaper rates, and impose economic sanctions as a political tool, without the need for military intervention. The foundation of this system is the petrodollar agreement, which made it mandatory for oil transactions to be conducted in US dollars. In return, the US pledged military support to oil-rich Saudi Arabia. However, the world is not without discontent, especially among nations that find themselves at odds with US policies. One of the most significant moments in recent history was when the US froze Russian assets after the invasion of Ukraine. This was a wake-up call for many countries, who realized that having their national wealth tied up in US dollars could be a risky gamble. The event signaled a shift in the geopolitical landscape, with Russia, China, and other nations becoming more vocal about finding alternatives to the dollar-dominated global system. This is where BRICS comes in. The BRICS nations are building momentum around the idea of de-dollarization, reducing their dependency on the US dollar and creating a more multipolar financial system. They have been working quietly, but now they've made it official. They are developing a new common currency. The question on everyone's mind is whether this new currency will be backed by gold, and if so, what impact it could have on global trade and the dollar. Why gold? Gold has been a stable store of value for thousands of years, especially during times of economic uncertainty. And BRICS nations, particularly China, have been accumulating vast amounts of gold in recent years. There has been speculation that this new currency could be backed by a basket of commodities, including gold, which would make it a formidable competitor to the dollar in global trade. However, the BRICS currency won't just be limited to trade between governments. According to the latest statements, it will be blockchain-based and accessible to businesses and even common people. The use of blockchain technology points to a digital currency that could offer low-cost, efficient, and transparent transactions, all while being independent of the US financial system. If successful, this would allow BRICS countries to bypass US sanctions and create a parallel financial network that operates outside of Washington's influence. But why is this important, and how could it affect the US dollar? The US economy has thrived on its ability to issue debt in dollars and finance its trade deficits. However, if countries start trading in a new BRICS currency, the demand for the dollar could decrease, leading to a gradual weakening of its value. There is a well-established correlation between the dollar and gold. When the dollar weakens, gold prices tend to rise. If BRICS successfully launches this currency and nations start diversifying their reserves away from the dollar, we could see a long-term shift in the balance of global power. The BRICS coalition is a powerful one. While the G7, which includes the US and its allies, has dominated global economics for decades, the BRICS nations represent a serious counterweight. The G7 accounts for $46 trillion in GDP, but its population is only about 750 million. In contrast, the BRICS nations have a GDP of $30 trillion but represent over 3.3 billion people, nearly half of the world's population. The sheer size of this population base could make the BRICS currency a serious contender in the global financial system, especially if it is backed by gold. When can we expect this currency to launch? While there is no official date yet, the development is moving forward quickly. The latest report suggests that political consent from the remaining BRICS nations is all that's needed to finalize the process. India, for instance, has been a holdout in the past. as it has been focused on promoting the rupee for international transactions. However, India's efforts to trade oil in rupees have not gained much traction, and it's possible they may throw their weight behind this new Brics currency instead. The impact of a Brics currency, especially if gold-backed, could be felt far beyond just Brics nations. A reduction in the dollar's dominance would create tailwinds for gold and other precious metals, as central banks might look to rebalance their reserves. Historically, when the euro was introduced, we saw a shift in foreign exchange reserves, with the euro gradually eating into the dollar's share. A similar pattern could unfold if Brics successfully launches its new currency, especially if it is seen as a reliable alternative. So, what does all of this mean for the future of the global economy? De-dollarization won't happen overnight, but the wheels are in motion, and the Brics currency could be a pivotal development. The US dollar's supremacy may face long-term challenges, and gold could rise in value as demand for the dollar decreases. However, this is a long-term game, one that will unfold over the coming years, not months.